welcome back to another episode where we talk cycling with Almost Elites. Today we're looking at cycling from a different angle, checking how the guys are giving back to the community. You know, we're getting less technical, not much about watts and power and all those things. And we just see how we use cycling to give back to the community. Very, very inspirational organization, Tour de Frontline. We're sitting with them here today. And let's find out what they are all about. Gents, thanks a lot for inviting us. Thanks for coming to the show. I think we'll start with a brief intro. Please introduce yourself and tell us how you became a part of this exciting initiative.
Sure. Thanks, man. My name is Reginald Galani. I'm a founding member of TDF. So we started about 4 years ago, just as a group of friends. We were just heavy on morning routine, riding around, the towns, the communities, and it was just about the COVID times. And as we were having a discussion, we said, we do what we do what we love. Every morning we wake up, we're in the streets, but what are we doing for people that can't do anything for themselves?
Yeah.
And this is how the idea came about, to say, look, as a community of cyclists, as we are having fun, as we doing what we do on a daily basis, how do we impact, how do we touch the lives, and how do we support the people that support us the most? I mean, at that particular point in time, the nurses were locked up in hospitals. COVID was just wreaking havoc and all that. And we got together and said, what is our contribution? What is our part? And TDF came from there, and we said, look, we mostly incorporate as Amajita. Couple of girls, it was about 11 of us,
Nice.
or so. And we were like, we're all in corporates, we're all professionals of some sort. We do what we do in our offices, but how do we get together and use our skills?
To make a difference.
Yeah, sure, just to impact our communities. And that's where the idea came about, to say, let's go to companies, let's bring them in, let's use the skills, let's use our passion, to touch lives on a daily basis. So that's where the idea came about. I think I'm a member of TDF, founding member, and I'm proud because from then we've done so much. My colleagues will elaborate.
Yeah, so I think let's do the full intro, then we can find out from everyone, how they find it.
Okay, my name is Mohau Mukhela, and I'm also a founding member of TDF. I think we started as 10, so there are other members that are founding members that unfortunately are not here. We're just representing the founding members. But yeah, as Reggie said, we were cycling friends that were just looking for fun, looking for different routes. It so happened that COVID hit, and then we took advantage of, how could we use our mileage in terms of the kilometers that we cover to raise awareness, as well as raise some funding for people that were in need during that period.
Yeah. Great. So Reggie Mohau.
Yes.
My name is Simuri Mahanui. I'm known as Smo in the cycling industry and also in the financial
SMU.
SMU. Yes. Yeah, so I'm also one of the founding members of TDF, and I think for me, the important aspect of TDF is the fact that when everyone was worried about COVID, we saw it as an opportunity for us to do something for communities, particularly building a bridge between corporates and charities, because what we found was that corporates are willing to help, but they didn't have the mechanism to use in order to reach the charities. And then you also had charities that were looking for help, but they didn't know how to reach out or get to corporates, and that's what TDF is about.
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm Arnau. Some people call me Arimara.
Arnau.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also part of the founding members here. Interesting, when I joined the guys, for me it was, I was learning cycling.
You were still new.
I was still trying to figure out, do I like this thing? Do I want to do this thing?
We've all been there.
I had an 8-speed bike. The guys were, but what I did like, as hard as it was for me at the times riding with the guys, trying to do 100 kilometers in that kind of a bike, it's difficult. But this was the first group of people that I was riding with that would never drop you. Or always make sure that they're waiting for you, always giving you tips right through. And that's, for me, then translated into what we are doing now in terms of the different charities, right? Because that's the spirit that we're trying to make sure that we are taking out there in the world, that everyone is benefiting from that togetherness, from that unity. Particularly also as Black people, right? We don't have many vehicles that bring us together, that help make sure that we're helping people that are underprivileged, and also even people who are trying to figure out different ways of getting together out there. So that's
Lovely.
that's
Lovely stuff, guys. So to someone who doesn't know, so how, in the simplest way, how does TDF work, and what are some of your success stories that you guys have, encountered in the short space of time that you guys have been operating?
So I think maybe let's start with the successes, because I think most of the time people always start with problems. So when we started, we were able to raise about 30,000 that we distributed amongst our charities. Then we increased our target to 100,000, which we reached probably about 95% of it in the next TDF. I think it was TDF Reloaded. Then the following year we decided that we're going to up the game a bit and target 1 million.
Sure.
But also change the strategy, because the previous strategy was us getting money from corporates and distributing. Then we changed our strategy to involve corporates and encourage them to either give money to us or pay directly to their own charities. So we increased our target to 1 million, and I'm glad to say we managed to raise about 2 million in that year, which unfortunately means that the next one we have to increase
much
more.
higher.
So we are looking at 5 million. That's why the theme for next year is, for this year actually, we're left with 10 weeks. It's TDF 5 meter, which stands for TDF 5 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's big stuff. Pretty impressive numbers there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Mohau, can you tell us just simply, or what Tour de Frontline is all about? Just briefly, what is it? And is it open to people? Is it a closed community? What is Tour de Frontline?
I think if you look at where we started as a bunch of cyclists looking to say, okay, how can we make a difference during COVID? And we carried that through by saying, okay, how do we bridge the gap between corporates and charities using cycling as a vehicle?
Yeah.
We are cyclists.
Yeah.
We all came together because we loved being out there. So the cyclists contribute mileage, meaning the kilometers that we ride. That's why every TDF has a target kilometers or mileage that we need to ride.
Yeah.
Therefore, the corporates then contribute either 2 rands towards a kilometer of every individual or certain individuals that are going to ride the kilometers. And then we identified, or we adopted charities that as TDF, when we started, we wanted to raise awareness as well as do some impact initiatives in those charities. So the funds that we raise through cycling, through the kilometers that we ride, which are, for some of us, as Ari would say, he was first time into cycling, and we set a target of 250. So it was hectic in 3 days or 4 days. So right now, I think this year we're doing 500 kilometers.
Yeah. I think
Last year, just about 5. Last year we also did 5. So if you look at the target kilometers that we set, and some of the people that actually come to ride those, some of them actually do those kilometers for the first time. So they actually push themselves in the name of raising funds and awareness for charities that we have adopted. Okay, so in short, what is TDF? We are cyclists that use cycling as a means to bridge the gap between the charities as well as the corporates that are looking to support these charities, and we use our mileage as cyclists to then convert that into rent, and then the charities then benefit by getting introduced to some of these corporates that they would not have the platform to meet
Yes.
if it wasn't through, the event of Tour de Frontline.
Yeah, so I think the work that you guys are doing is actually phenomenal, and I don't think there's any structure like this that uses cycling as a vehicle. So I mean, kudos to you guys for doing something like this. And just from like an impact perspective, who have you reached so far? How many people have you touched, and funds that you've raised? I know you said you started with 30,000, but who have you impacted essentially from this initiative?
Yeah, so I think we've the latest event we've touched about 27,000 lives across 4 countries: South Africa, Lesotho, Botswana, Eswatini, and close to about 8 cities in total. And in terms of people that we impact lives across mental health. We also do poverty alleviation, education,
Mentoring one-on-one. Mentoring them.
So also do mentoring. So we look at different sectors across the board. So there are sectors that we as TDF focus on, and then there are other sectors that the corporates will also add.
Yeah.
So for instance, we have 6 charities that we've adopted, but in total we have 18 charities when we combine with the corporates.
Yeah. So the impact that you're talking about. So we impact the charities that are adopted, meaning the money that we raise get channeled to those charities. Okay. And it's funny now, we're actually activating for 2023. So we're actually doing rides to the charities that we have impacted, and we actually have the annual impact assessment study.
Impact report.
Impact report, which actually shows the detail of what we have done each year, where the money went, what it did. Because when we actually go for the next, for the next calendar year for an event, when we approach the charities, they want to know, the corporates, they want to know what you did.
Yeah, what you've done, of course.
The money that we gave you last year, what did you do with it?
Yeah.
So this report is actually very important because it actually highlights, all of these nitty-gritties of what we have done.
Yeah.
Because this monies that we raise, it's not for us, it's actually for the charities. So the impact, it's felt through the charities, it's felt through the people that are beneficiaries within those charities. And if I could just mention the charities, I think Smoothie has always highlighted them. We have Talita, which was formed by doctors who were seeing the need of abandoned kids at hospitals. Okay, so what they do is that they provide these kids with clothing, with food, as well as diapers, their necessities, because they are abandoned. Okay, so in December this year, they actually went and had an initiative where they went to police stations to drop off packs. In these packs, they included diapers, they included your clothing, they included food, and all of those things that are necessities for any young child who's been dropped off that needs. And then we have the Gauteng Mental Health, and then we have One-on-One. One-on-One is a non-profit organization that is looking to assist and use technology to assist the learning of maths, science, architecture, engineering. So they use technology to actually bridge the gap in terms of how easily are these subjects being taught. They use technology to do that. And then we also have Ntika, which promotes netball in Katlehong. So as you know, that sports sometimes can be expensive, and in less privileged areas, people do not have the necessities to actually undertake those sports. So Ntika is an initiative that actually collects money, and they buy the essentials for kids and girls to get into netball. And then we also have Bulamahlo in Soweto, which is also similar to Talita. They help abandoned kids and they provide them with housing.
Sure.
So those are some of the charities. Which one did I leave out?
There's also Arabal King, the hospice.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the latest one that we've added onto our platform on request from our sponsor. So to also answer your question in terms of how do we identify charities, So there are two ways of identifying them. Some of them come through our sponsors, and then others they'll come through referrals. So how we run TDF, we have different committees. So there's a committee that focuses on charities. There's a committee that focuses on routes and riders. Those are the guys that are responsible for creating the routes for the tour. And there's a committee that looks after PR, and then there's a committee that looks after finances. So anybody who has a charity that they would like to bring to TDF, it will go through the charity committee. If they're happy with it, they will present it to the main board, and if we're all happy, then we add them onto our platform.
Lovely. Lovely. So it's interesting, when we're asking what the impact is, right, to the community. But if we backtrack a bit, as you were saying, this is a new thing that you guys have started, right? And most people interact with charities and that all they do is take out money. But you guys did something which is quite different. You guys took that step to actually do something about it. And I'm guessing that journey transforms you as well and impacts you. So if you guys could just share how that sort of journey has changed you guys individually in terms of being part of all this change and touching people's lives.
Maybe that's a question for Ari.
Exactly.
I was gonna take it. Already going for it.
It's burning to answer.
No, I think that's such an important point that you're making, right? Because it's very easy to pop out money or to pop out blankets or whatever, and you send it and it goes into this black hole and you feel good, I've helped somebody, but you don't actually get to see the impact, right? When you actually ride to these places and people are there waiting for you to welcome you, and they're so appreciative of the hard work that you've done in terms of helping them, it gives you so much more motivation to keep going, right? Because it's not just it's just a thing that I must do and then I'll click back from text and forget about it. It then starts to mean something. It means you can interact with the people that you're trying to help, so that you're helping them in a way that is meaningful to them, rather than just sending them money and it's helping. Somebody must take care of it, and maybe it's not in the way that they do would like, right? But also, besides even the charities, when you're actually riding on the different days, there are people that you're meeting there that you as you have conversations with, you realize how much you're impacting them as well. I mean, just this last one that we did, there was a guy, I forget his name now, he was riding an old bike, it was rusted, it's from the 80s. From Soweto, right? Yeah. Very nice bike. He was dropping quite a lot of people. People were taking pictures. We even had this one white guy who came and said he wanted to buy the bike from him because it's,
I ordered a bike from him. He rebuilds old bikes.
Exactly.
And that's what he does. That's what vintage. The gears are
exactly.
Just some amazing stuff.
But for me, what touched me in talking to him was that he was saying, in addition to building these bikes, he wants to go back to coaching these kids a lot more. And TDF was giving him that motivation to be able to do that. So it means there's other impact that we don't necessarily see that goes beyond just money, right? It's actually helping to uplift people as well.
No, that's quite
the township economy that we touch, because I think one thing, and Reggie will touch on this, when we pan out the routes, we always look at iconic places that we want to go to. We don't just wake up in the morning and say we're going to ride through Rosebank. They plan it ahead. There's nothing here for us. So they plan the routes to actually visit certain areas that are meaningful to us in as far as our history is concerned, in as far as our lives are concerned. So the impact and the awareness, we can't measure awareness unfortunately, but the awareness, if I was to measure it, I would say we started as 10, the first TDF, it was only 10 riders. The next one grew in terms of the numbers. Smudu will probably have the better numbers in terms of how many people actually came and participated. We always said TDF is not a club, but if you look at the number of black cycling clubs that support us now, that actually put that date and say, we will be part of this initiative and we'll go there. It's actually amazing. If you look at last year's TDF, I don't know how many groups we had of people. We actually now, even when in our planning processes, we look at fast and slow and short and long. That talks to the numbers of people that are actually coming.
And accommodating different kind of riders.
Exactly. So when you look at that, the impact is also the awareness that we've created. And we keep attracting very blue chip corporates, if I can put it that way, which talks to the brand as well that TDF has actually built today. Because these corporates now, some of them have supported us since day one, and they keep growing with us. And they keep wanting more. And now we have dates that are actually structured to accommodate those corporates in as far as that day is. It could be called that particular corporate on that day because they have sponsored that day. So I think it's exactly the impact that we've created over time, but maybe we're not aware of it, but we can see the wins in terms of the numbers and the number of support that we're actually getting out of it.
And can you guys give us, you know, a little bit of a sneak peek of some of your plans, you know, going forward, short term, maybe long term? Tell us what you have, maybe your next big ride, or where you see yourself even in 5-10 years time.
Chairman?
Direction.
Reggie's looking at chairman. I think if we just start short term, you know, just start around the corner, and then maybe someone else can maybe tell us more about where the vision is.
He's the chairman of our board.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm paying for my seat. So I think when we look at 2023, the plan is to actually expand and increase our coverage in Cape Town. So all along, TDF has always been a Johannesburg-based type of event, but now we realize that we have quite a big sponsors that are coming from Cape Town. So it doesn't make sense for sponsors that are based in Cape Town to get coverage in Johannesburg. So we are now doing 3 days in Cape Town, which is going to be the week before the Johannesburg event. So we're doing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but we're also combining it with what do we call it now?
Cape Town Cycle Tour.
Cape Town Cycle Tour, yes. So we have 3 of our major sponsors that are based in Cape Town. So one of them has offered an opening ceremony in Cape Town. So we normally invite their clients so that they can also showcase the impact to their clients. Then the following week we'll do Johannesburg together with all other cities. We are targeting 9 cities in total for this year. And I suppose in terms of targets, if we are looking at 5 million this year, it means in the next couple of years we'll probably get to about 10 million. But I think the long-term plan is to get to a point where we can partner with at some point we'll have to partner with a big brother that will take it forward. Because we are only 8 in the committee. There's only so much that we can do. When it gets to a certain stage, we will definitely need partnership with people that can take it even further. Because so TDF is not about us. It's about the impact that we make in communities. But I think that as Mohau alluded to, we are not a club. We are never going to be a club. And we're also trying to change our strategy a bit for 2023. Or in the previous years, we were inviting clubs, but we realized that we get better impact by inviting cyclists. So we invite you as an individual, you come with your friends, we ride.
Regardless of what club you come from.
Regardless of what club you come from, And the other thing that we've also added to our strategy is a signature event, which is DC. So going forward, we're going to have TDF and DC in 1 year, because we realized how impactful DC was, and we got sponsorship from the organizers. So the partnership is also going to continue.
It's also to create awareness, build the brand again. So,
but I think just
Ari and I will be better.
What do you say? Just one more thing maybe to add on that is we're also doing a lot more activations for our corporates, right? So which means that we'll organize with them certain days that we'll go and actually do a ride with them, and they can use it as a platform to have
I
engagements
think
with other
I think maybe let's shine a bit of light on the corporates, because I mean we touched on the impact from the charity side. So I mean, you know, who are some of the corporates involved? Because obviously, you know, someone looking at this, maybe a CEO or whatever, and may want to be involved. So who are some of the corporates that you guys have partnered with?
Okay.
So you can finish it off. Yeah. But I think a lot of the corporates that we've been partnering with, I mean, there's a lot to mention, right? But some of the more household names, if I should say, include the likes of Old Mutual. There's people like Arwani Capital. I don't know if they're household, but they're quite big out there. There's guys mostly in the financial services sector, and I think the goal is, yes, to keep growing, anchoring around the financial services, but also start to bring in other industries that might also benefit from something like this.
Yeah. So in total, we have about 32 corporates that we partnered with.
Oh, that's a lot.
And I think Nando's will kill you for not mentioning that.
That's why I can add to say
They will kill you for not having their chicken.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think it's also worth mentioning that the activation, we have one that's happening this coming Friday with Aluwani. So all our executive or board members will be riding with the Aluwani Pro team.
Okay.
Then we do an activation for them, and then we start doing all other activations as a build up to the actual tour.
I love Aluwani.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that team. It's
Yeah.
great. I'll be keeping an eye close.
So
eye on
I'll also have to mention Measures, because I work for Measures.
Maybe a question for Regis, since hasn't had a chance to jump in. You know, it was mentioned earlier, I think Mohau mentioned how corporates want to see where the money went. The money can be a sensitive topic, and you need to have very good, what do you call it, core values as a team, to say we have integrity, we have transparency, you know, we respect each other, and most importantly, we are helpful. Okay, so can you tell us about some of the core values of Tour de Frontline, the important values that you guys practice? So even when somebody wants to join, they must know this is what we expect and this is how we conduct ourselves.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something that comes from our, I think our second or third strategy meeting happened in a coffee shop, and one of the things that we said was, this is also a platform for us to learn and to teach each other. And one of the founding principles of this organization, of this setting, was to teach, to learn from each other accountability. And we said we're not going to do anything without accounting. So the structure of the group, of the platform, basically is that whatever that we touch, it has to anchor on something. 2, it has to be accounted for, documented for, and presented. So we learn from each other as to what corporate governance means. So I think this is one of the few organizations where you can basically go backwards and get reports, financial reports, from the first event up until to the events that we're going to have. So we have, from a budgeting perspective, from the contributions that we make to each and every committee, the money that we touch, or the money that also goes directly to the charities, is accounted for to the last cent. So I think it's a principle that in general, when you want people to get involved, you need to push hard, because people in the past are discouraged from participating in such efforts because the contributions just disappear. You know, there's no accountability as to where it went. So one of the founding principles is that we account. Corporate governance is huge. So Smoo mentioned that we carry this out through the different committees. Nothing goes out without going through the rightful committee. So if we were to reach out and speak to a corporate, we're not going to approach it from the back door. Our PR committee will go and represent what TDF wants to say. If you want to know what is happening with strategy, there's a finance and strategy committee that will give you exactly the picture of what TDF looks like, where TDF is going, the dreams and ambitions of this particular grouping.
If you want to know what our charities look like, what do they feel like, where they are, you would go to our charities and projects. They would tell you exactly. And if you want to know where we're going to be riding, we've got a routes planning committee that will give you exactly where we're going to be. So one of the things that we wanted to teach each other as well is to run organizations properly. And I want to reiterate the fact that accountability is probably one of the founding principles that we literally have this organization rested on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I can imagine it must take a tremendous amount of effort to run an organization like this, and I think more so to actually organize things properly, as you properly mentioned that. So I mean, I just want to know, like, what does it take to successfully run a Tour de Frontline end-to-end campaign? Like, you know, who's involved? I hear you've mentioned route planning. You know, how does that work? There's the PR team who's also involved in making sure that, you know, people know about it.
Yeah.
So, you know, what does it take?
Yeah.
Takes all of us.
Yeah, let me do that.
And more, I promise you.
And I'd really like to know who else is involved here, guys, because it's not just you guys, not just.
So I'm gonna
the
allow
11
Reggie to, but in short, it takes all of us, and we need to be hands-on, and we always constantly need to be communicating. We always constantly need to be, you know, keeping each other abreast as to where we are, planning. We have strategy sessions, but I'll let Reggie talk to it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Look, let me just say, as we grow, it becomes even harder. It's a logistical nightmare. You've got people functioning and people doing different stuff in different areas. We exist in 4 countries, if you can imagine, 9 provinces or 8 provinces at the same time. Most of the time we do these things at the same time. So the board is basically at the core, but the community makes it possible. So the cyclists, the people that we call our family, the larger family, you know, the guys that you don't see here, you know, the people behind the planning of the food, the people behind, I mean, I could even take it as far as saying the charities themselves. I mean, we have gone to an extent that we have brought them in to be involved in the organization or the organizing of the day themselves. So they are supported, they are manning the routes, the water stations, the water points, they are there, they are behind us, they're the ones that are cheering behind, you know, they're looking after the punches and all of the other stuff along the routes. So it takes a community. The team that is given the opportunity to lead can only do that successfully with the community, with the corporates involved. I mean, guys, without corporates, we are nobody. Because they're the engine, they're the fuel for these things. We the engine, but they're the fuel. They make it possible. The funds, the charities, they inspire. You know, the fact that you wake up in the morning every day for 4 days in a row, you know, doing huge mileage, it's quite daunting. But you know, when you think about the impact, the lives that you're touching, you know, you get motivated. And so, I would say to you that the community runs the heart of it and the organization, but the community makes it possible.
And maybe just to also give a shout out to the riders as well. One of the things, and I think it speaks to some of the values that we spoke about earlier on, right? What you find on the days of the riding is that people start to take leadership positions, right? We've had safe TDFs so far, touch wood, with no incidents. And part of it is riders taking leadership. You'll have people who are shouting for holes and shouting for cars and shouting for
with the whistle,
whatever, with the whistle, with, you know, you name it. You'll have people who would just naturally take on captain positions, especially as the group split out and all of that. So also even the designated captains themselves that get allocated to the different regions and the different provinces play quite a big role. So I think, as we grow, there are people who've been coming with us in terms of the riders, and I think they've also played an important role in making sure that on the day things happen as they should.
No, lovely, gents. I was gonna to rethink how I'm gonna ask this question, because I was gonna say what are the challenges, but I want to say what are the learnings that you guys hope to take, you know, in 2023. So what are the things maybe as TDF that you guys want to excel at or improve on, and also individually, because I'm guessing it's a corporate, so there's stuff that applies to TDF, but you as an individual, what are those learnings that you want to apply more in this year?
Yeah, so I think some of the maybe challenges or developmental areas is especially for our community. We are friends first, but there are times when we really have to have tough conversations and hold people accountable. It's never but it happens. So, and because of that, we've had to now start creating what we say code of conduct. And now that becomes part of the business. So now we don't see it as just friends, we see this as a business. Because we have to also report back to the corporates. We have to speak the language that corporates understand if you want them to partner with you.
That's true.
So when they say we want to see your accountability report, it must be in the format that makes sense. If they want to know how do you resolve conflicts within the committee, there must be a process that we follow. So those are some of the things that we've learned along the way. And I mean, if I look at the charities out there, some of the challenges, you find that there are corporates that want to participate, but they will tell you that they will not participate if there is no tax certificate. But when you go to Tembisa and you find a poor child there with no food, there's no time for tax certificate. So we have to find ways to work around those kind of things and also allow corporates to see that there are certain instances that you can get tax certificate, but in other different circumstances that may not apply, but it doesn't mean you cannot help. So I think for me those are the biggest learnings.
Guys, the learnings, you guys?
I think this event is very expensive. so one thing that we have learned is that sometimes we sit, like Reggie was saying, we sit around the coffee shop and we strategize, and then we realize, ish, there's a lot of work. So it's very expensive, and we have actually noticed that the conversations we have with our corporates has to actually be frank, to say, for us to be able to deliver this, it's costly, and we need you to be aware of the other inherent costs that are associated with running this thing. I will tell you one simple example. Most of the time where we organize routes, we need to cater for every rider that is coming, because we need to have water pools. Who needs to pay for that? Do you understand? So it's on us. So these are some of the things that it's not simply to say we can just organize a ride. We need to look at, Reggie needs to look at the route and look at the safety aspect of the route. We need to look at the elevation support. We have support cars, and now we need to go again and seek help from another manufacturer of cars to say, can you just give us 2 cars so that, do you understand? It's very expensive, and maybe it talks to the question that you're asking, to say, guys, let's be frank, how do you do this thing? It's very difficult, it's very expensive, but I think we have learned that if we communicate and if we are frank with our sponsors in terms of how the learnings from the previous events have landed us here, it makes it easier going forward, because now we have a plan. We didn't start with all of these committees, I'll be very frank with you. We only developed these committees when we saw the need. Okay, so we keep evolving, we keep growing, we keep seeing where, okay, fine, like Samudi highlighted, okay, do we really need clubs, or do we need individuals to come in? There are challenges that clubs present. We'll be very frank with you.
Politics.
We know it.
So all of these,
But we love them.
So all of these are challenges, routes are challenges. What are we riding? And some of us are not the strongest riders. I cannot even qualify to be an almost elite. So I also challenge them when they plan out the route to say, okay, the elevation is too high. Remember, there are sisters that are coming. So all of these challenges, but I think on the day when it all comes together, it becomes a very successful and beautiful event. And we've been very fortunate to have the sponsors that we have. We had Decathlon, we didn't mention. We had Decathlon last year. We started, the last day was at Decathlon. We had Akani the other year, where even the final event was at the launching of a hotel in the Radisson in Kempton Park. So we've always been fortunate enough to have these themes that evolve around the event. I don't know what the chairman and the route leaders are planning this year, where we're going to end, which party is going to happen, but yeah,
it's quite a
I
bit.
actually wanted to add one of the things that we've learned that is very important is precision. So everything has to happen with precision. Yeah, because when you look at, even when we're planning, sometimes we plan that the speed for the fast guys is going to be 30 and the slower guys is 25.
Yeah.
And if you deviate from that speed, it's got a bearing on your lunch stops and the support cars and
complaints from riders who can't keep up.
Absolutely, yeah. And then you also have people who are riding very slow, but they will refuse support.
Yeah.
So that means you now have to cater for those people to make sure that they are still safe on the road.
Yes.
Sometimes it comes at the expense of the faster guys because now they are exposed because of the support cars. So those things you have to manage the precision.
And we're always learning.
That's
2023 will present different challenges, which we will correct going into 2024.
And those learnings make you stronger and more wiser as an organization.
And I
James,
think
you're doing the. So sorry to cut you this, Mo. I mean, you're doing amazing work. It's beautiful. What is your message to corporates? What is your message to cyclists? And what is your message to charities out there?
Maybe I can go first. I think for me, the main message doesn't change from where we started. It's let's get all of those three different groups together and let's see what positive impact we can make in the society, right? As we go, there's a lot of things that we've learned that we've done better, like the governance side of things, the admin side of things. The other things like putting the charities out there a little bit more and advertising our wins a little bit more so that people understand what's going on. People don't forget that we're not just riding for the sake of kilometers, but we are trying to impact the lives of people. And I think that should never be forgotten. And how this thing just started of no one gets dropped, right? That's why we, even those slow people who are refusing support, we keep. But that's the values that we're trying to carry through, to say we're trying to make sure that no child is left behind in this country of ours.
Yeah, so I think for me the message is probably only to cyclists. I'm seeing a culture where even when you look at the setup here, it looks like we're not accommodating ladies. But in actual fact, we're trying hard. We're saying ladies come and join. When we did the DC, we tried so many avenues to involve ladies, but unfortunately we're not successful. But the platform is open. Ladies come. Let's see how we can do this TDF thing together.
Wow. I think for me, through platforms like this, I believe the message is very clear. I think the awareness that we're creating and the support we're getting from you gentlemen to want to host us and be part of your initiative is exactly the message to make people aware that we can have black events, we can have our own things that talk to what is very close to our hearts, which is the townships that we come from, the charities that talk to, the initiatives that we understand that are very close to us, because that for me is the bigger message, and the awareness that we create as TDF and the wins that we create as TDF through measures like this, where we can have this beautiful event where we're talking and putting the message out there, is what I would love the message to be. If we can go to other platforms and be able to say more about cycling and about what we're doing, then we will get those comments, because they will get to know about us, they will get to know what we're doing. And it's not only us, there are other initiatives that other people are doing. We would love to collaborate with them, see how we can have synergies to try and grow.
Yeah, so I think probably a closing question on my side, I really love the t-shirt, gents, and I think there's actually turn around. So, and I think it's actually like a strong message that comes up for me, because you've got a sad face plus a bicycle equals a happy face, because that could kind of mean there's some child out there that's hungry and in need of something, and because you guys have organized these things through bicycles, they are now able to have a smile on their face. So I think it's really great to have it. So yeah, so I know the PR team is not here. How do we find you guys?
He's part of the
he's part of the PR team. So how do we find you guys? And just so everyone is aware on when to find the information, where the rides are happening, when the events are, when they're happening, and then we can always just link down below on the channel, so people can find the relevant link. So where do we find you?
So I'm gonna forget the links now, but we basically on every social media platform, right? So we are there on Instagram. We're quite active there, and you'll see there what we are trying to do from what we previously did before is exactly what I was saying: spread the message with a little bit more preciseness of who are the charities that we are supporting, what do they do, when are the rides, and all of that. We are there on YouTube, we are there on Twitter, we are there on LinkedIn, because we are dealing with corporates after all. And yeah, we're trying to grow awareness there. So yeah, if you guys can post the links and people just keep hashtagging us, it will be very helpful.
Thank you so much, guys. I don't know, any last words of wisdom from anyone in closing, as we close?
Yeah, I think we are a community as cyclists, and we want to push a message that says all of us at the same time. We make a huge difference. So meaning that divided we're weaker. If we come together, we're stronger. So all cycling clubs, black, white, whatsoever color, come from the west or the east, the strong guys and the weak guys, if we join our hands together in one effort, we will leave the country better. And that's all.
And we hope to see you guys in 2020.
No, we're part of the family. We're part of the family.
We're in the family.
Yeah,
we are with it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have heard it. There's so much strength in unity. Thank you so much for the love you've shown us. Please click subscribe, click like, drop us a comment. We do read them. Thanks for all the love you've shown us. Signing out, Almost Elite with Tour de Frontline. See you next time.
Away. Thank you, guys.
Sure.
Yo, man.
Hey, small guys. Yo, no, I'm very humbled,
such a-
gents. Yo, I'm very humbled, man.
Hey, bro.
I've learned a lot from just this conversation.
It's a whole problem.